So, if I was completely erased from this life and didn't exist, then my offspring wouldn't exist today. All of the time and energy and heartache and everything that I put into them, um, helping them to um, have high self-esteem, to be independent, to question things as much as possible at the time. I mean, I thought that I was instilling that in them. Soccer, horses, teaching them to ride bikes, to ride horses, to play tennis, to, you know, do sports, just loving the outdoors, swimming. I just think of all the things that we've done, and then when my husband and I got together, all the things that we've done throughout their childhood to just pour love into them, to create memories, and just to care for them, to bring them to a place. I guess today it's kind of interesting because me as a child, I was insecure about things, and at one time when I was young, I didn't want to have kids because I look at just my health and how I was growing up, because of me being sick a lot, due to taking in other people's emotions and stuff like that, and not being able to handle stress well. I became sick, and then they put me on their pharmaceuticals, and I was just thinking of my pictures from kindergarten, first, second, and third, and fourth grade, and like in first, second, and third grade, I was pretty lively, and I had good color to my face and different things like that. And by the time I got to fourth grade, when I got mono for 3.5 months, my liver and spleen were completely enlarged and all that. I was just white. I had adrenal fatigue and all these things. Of course, they didn't treat me for any of that. I just was constantly getting bronchitis, and this, of course, because they don't go after the cause of things, I just got worse and worse, and then it ended up being a thyroid disorder and Hashimoto, and they thought I had lupus, and all those things that I was talking about, the 4 miscarriages, all these things. I was originally not wanting to have kids because I didn't want them to experience the sadness that I experienced, and then coming to a place of understanding that I was going to be able to help them to grow to be happy and well-adjusted individuals. That's why I wanted to stay in one place when they were born, and have them go through school without moving and all this stuff, even though at the time I was really wanting to move to a different state or country, somewhere warmer, somewhere I wanted to go. But in my head, where I was going, no, I got to stay here, I got to keep this consistency and all of that. When I look at it now, it's like there's so much that's outside of us that speaks into us, that makes us feel like we are basically enslaved and can't move and can't do things. Whether sometimes our families don't support us in that way, we just feel like it's just us. And then as it came down to my point, is that people truly believed, no, when I say they're with their family today, I mean my extended family, and that is where they are, and the extended family believes that is, they just go through their day, and just the way the world has programmed us to not question, just to go through your day and through your week and through your month and through your year after year, kind of the same type of thing. And I'm not saying there shouldn't be any consistency and stuff like that, but what I'm saying is that we should be able to follow our heart's desires and to do what we believe as parents would be best for us and our children. And we don't know how long we have, and when our last day is. So those things blocked me from doing things that I wanted to do. But I was trying to pour into my kids so that they would feel like they have a good self-esteem and not to worry about what others felt or thought. And I think that they are there today. I think that, yeah, they struggle. I don't think that everything that they're experiencing is exactly what they would have wanted, but all in all, when we came back from Mexico and my eldest daughters, um, were wanting to come back to the States and wanting to have my room, have their own rooms, go out and shop and different things, and just be back with my extended family, back to what they knew. Um, this is what they want. And so I think that looking at the vibrations and frequencies and stuff like that is that they are at a place where that is what makes them feel happy. And me as a child, I couldn't have imagined not being with my mom and my family, even though there's things that happened in our lives. I felt very close to her, and I couldn't have ever imagined the situation like what happened in my life for me to be in that position and to have wanted to come back and to do anything differently than just being there and being together as a family and whatnot. It's interesting how things change. And, situations are complex. I'm not trying to come against anyone and my kids where they are. Things happened, and that's what I mean by CPS making things very complicated, because you can see pictures and videos of us before they came and then where we are today, and the decisions that were made along the way as I started to learn and we started to learn more about what these private business associations are about, these corporations. They aren't to be trusted, and they aren't there for the best interests. It doesn't mean that people working for them don't have a heart, that maybe they want to help in some way. The problem is you can't help in a broken system. And like late Congresswoman Nancy Schaefer said, not one child comes out whole after they've been through this. And there's a defragmentation that happens, and just the conquering and dividing within the family. And when you don't see that you need protecting from someone who loves you, that you don't see that there is major corruption and that there's a lot going on in the world, you don't understand that, and then there's other people around you who continue to reinforce this falsehood and this staying asleep. It makes it very tough for parents who are awake and who are trying to protect, because kids are taken from their parents and put into foster care or with different family members or group friends or different individuals, and those individuals don't think in such a way that they are awake to the reality of what is going on with the corruption in the world. And so you just end up living or trying to seek the American dream, is what I'm saying. But the big point I'm saying is that I guess my kids are at a place where I want them to be happy. I want them to have high frequencies and vibrations, and the way that life works is that you will attract back what you end up putting out, knowingly or unknowingly, and there's going to be lessons to be learned along the way. And I just want what's best for them. And of course, us as parents, when we are waking up to things, we want them to understand things, so that when they get older and they run into situations, they're able to deal with it and have the knowledge in order to stand up. Because things go good for a long time, but then there's things that are happening to countless people today that is going to come. And unless you are prepared, or I guess unless maybe you want to be an obedient slave and give away your rights and just accept privileges instead, then maybe some people are going to be okay. That is, if you're not vaccine injured or injured in some other way by all of these pesticides and everything else that's being bombarded on us, and earlier and earlier, through the vaccines given to pregnant mothers. And I mean, it's not getting better in that sense. What I'm not trying to do is fear mongering. I'm also not trying to be this is how it's just going to be. There's a lot of individuals today who are raising the frequencies and vibrations on the earth, and who are here to help in a way that is good and can help to heal the world. And I'm not exactly sure how it's all going to go and what's going to happen, but I think individually we can each shine our light, and we can use our voice for good, and we can continue to question things. This is kind of a longer video, and it's been cut off like 3 times because I had too much on the phone and I had to download it. But anyways, that's the stuff I was thinking about, is just the difference in how we all view things, and when we're around certain people and world views and thoughts and things like that, that we sometimes just aren't able to take the blinders off. And it really is affecting our children today and how they see things, and it makes it hard as parents as what to do and how to move forward to, I'll just use the word, fight for your children when they don't know that they need to be fought for, that there is a spiritual battle going on, and that there is just more to meets the physical eyes. So I guess all we can do is the best we can, and to try to be mindful, and to bring people into our lives who are operating on the same frequencies and vibrations, who are seeking the truth, to grow in it. And I was trying to think if there's anything else I wanted to talk about in this video, more so of just kind of where I'm going with everything, and that I am continuing to question things. I don't have it all figured out. The system in many ways is cracking, and there's a lot of exposure, but there are many individuals and entities that are working against that to keep people asleep. And as for the ancient texts of what's going to happen and what's going on, I don't have that all figured out. I don't know if the way the system is set up is that they have just conquered and divided people enough to where they just want to keep everyone asleep, and dehumanizing one another, and using hatred and all of these different things, or if there is a deception in maybe in the end, and people coming together but not standing on principles, and being made to accept things or agree to things that you aren't aware that you're agreeing to. Hidden contracts. Contracts are a big thing, and I think of CPS with this. But contracts are all around us, and it seems like we need to be careful of what we're signing and what we're agreeing to, because that is just it seems to be the way that the world operates today. And you first, as kids, you're like, sign your name, sign this, sign that, and then everywhere you go, you're signing for credit cards, you're signing for this and that, and if you don't really understand the all caps names and what's actually going on, and all of this and the deception, and then just how the so-called courts are operating. Um, there comes to be that the universe brings this awakening to individuals at different places in time. I just recently talked to someone who had 60 wonderful years, and then all of a sudden it's like this awakening, and she explained it that this veil was removed from her eyes and she was able to see that we're all one, and that um, she saw the corruption, and that's exactly how she explained it. And I think that more and more people are waking up, and so we need to start to trust in those who truly love us and care about us, to stop trying to um, put people down and to act like mistakes that someone's made defines them and is who they are, and and not look inside of ourselves, because we all have places that we need to work, and there's things that all of us are not proud of, but there's also things where people and entities and stuff are coming in and twisting things and falsifying things. And when you have people come on to your comments and say, well, I wonder why multiple allegations, well, that's because we're being attacked, and they're false allegations, and the system is used for others to retaliate against um, individuals. It's perfect because it's anonymous, and because of how the system works, it's corrupt, and so people will use it in that way. But also to understand at a deeper level is that there's frequencies and vibrations and this energy, and if we are operating down low, and there's things that we do in our lives that bring us low, and that we especially trauma, depression, anxiety, different things, energy and motion that we don't understand, we don't work through, then we are attacked at that level, and we also attract what we are putting off, and we don't realize that. And that's why it's so important. No, we don't use band-aids to hide this. We actually have to do internal work and work through these things. So for myself, I am not going to use pharmaceuticals because it's masks what's actually going on. I'm going to continue to work on it, and I'm going to use my voice. I'm going to speak out and be empowered, whether many people listen or no one listens, and I'm just speaking to myself. It's okay, because we have to begin to see our own value. We have to see the oneness in all of us, and we have to reconnect with the divine creator in such a way that we are able to move in the direction that is positive and good for all of humanity and the world at large. So that's basically what I wanted to say. If you hung in there for the entire video, great. If not, there's certain things that sometimes when I'm talking, I'm like, oh, for right now, I'm not wanting to maybe reach these people or to make tons of money off of things. Like, things come out, and I'm like, well, I've never wanted to use it that way. I just see sometimes YouTube as being a way that if people are able to, that you're able to expose while still not working for some other corporation out there, and you're able to bring in money. That's a good thing. But that's not what this is about for me, is that I want to just be growing. That is what I want. And I don't think it's bad when people do go out and are creative in having their life be more abundant in ways, and to attract wealth. And wealth comes in all forms, whether it's money or love or just how we feel inside of belonging, and knowing that we are living out our purpose. And that's what I want for people. And so sometimes I say things, and I'll come back later, and that was one that I kind of was listening as my stuff was downloading. Is like, people sometimes just will focus on something that's said just not right in the way that you want to say it, and then that becomes a focal point. And I think that this is what this is all about, is what are we focusing on? Are we focusing and being critical of people and on, like being in our glass house, like Jennifer Winn talked about? She's someone, an advocate for CPS, talking about, we all have past, we all have things that have happened, and a lot of times people just want to make false allegations in order to keep the focus off of them. I think of all these so-called judges and DAs and different attorney generals and all these individuals that are playing their parts, and how many of them have so many just scarecrows, bones, whatever else you want to call it, in their closets, and they're coming out with judgments against people. Of course, the summary judgments and different things that are fraudulent in these de jure government bodies, because these, well, they're not de jure, I'm sorry, I said it the wrong way, de facto governments, but yeah, that's what's going on, is that they're supposed to be de jure governments, but they're de facto because they're working off of fraud, and it's racketeering, and it's treason, and it's wrong. But how many of them are going out, and are they, they're just hiding behind the curtain, like the Wizard of Oz? They're staying back there, pulling strings, doing different types of things, and speaking words of judgment, and setting traps and snares and pits for others, when at some point they're going to fall into their own schemes, and their words of judgment, their falsehood is going to come back to them. And that's just how it works. That's the laws of the universe. So with that, that's a positive note to end on, and I hope that you guys have a blessed day, and that you take time to hug your offspring, if you have them with you, to start to walk forward in the way that you believe is right, and to keep questioning things, and to have a voice, be empowered. And if you don't have your children, know that you can make changes in your life, that it starts today with just being able to look at yourself and valuing who you are, beginning to love yourself, listen to different affirmations, and begin to change your thought pattern so that you can raise your frequencies and your vibrations. That is what I'm working on each and every day, so that you're able to attract that back. And anyways, the world doesn't have to be just a horrible place. We can start to see the beauty around us, and to be thankful for what we do have. And that is a place that we can start to grow, and to plant good seeds in good soil, and then to water those seeds and see what ends up coming out of that. When you plant an apple seed, you're going to get an apple tree, and then what comes out of that, and how much fruit you have, and how delicious it is, you're going to be able to harvest that in the right time. All right, you have a great day. Thanks for listening. Shalom.